I had my first overnight in Alabama, and I thought about it. I was laying in bed that morning and I was like, I got to get up and I got to do something. There's something I really want to do in Alabama. What is it? And then I'm like, oh, yeah, the Civil Rights Museum. So then I called my sister and I said, hey, Civil Rights Museum in Alabama. Have you been to it? She said, yeah, it's free. You should go check it out. So I got my clothes on, got all my stuff together, and I started walking down to the Civil Rights Museum. It took me about 45 minutes to walk there, but it was well worth the walk. I was amazed at what I saw. I had heard a lot about it, but I had never been there. The filming's kind of shaky here. I apologize for that. But when I'm walking, I feel like I'm literally walking through history. So Alabama was one of the Jim Crow states from back in the 50s and 60s, the civil rights period, where a lot of civil rights activities were taking place. Alabama was in the heart of that. There's a lot of history there. And I heard across the street from the Civil Rights Museum, which I heard Donald Duck is trying to shut down, is like where Alabama police were like
head southwest on 2nd Avenue South toward 18th Street
dogs
South.
attack black people, and across the street from the museum is a church that got,
probably black owned,
pew-pewed with a big,
head southwest on
device.
19th Street South
And
toward 18th Street.
3 or 4 African American girls were unalived in that church because of a white man's hatred towards someone because of the color
right
of
onto
their
18th
skin,
Street North, then turn left onto 1st
which
Avenue
is so
North.
utterly ridiculous. But yeah, the church was across the street. I did not have time to go into the museum of the church, but I wanted to so badly. So next time I go there, I'll make it a point to look across the street to see where the people were being hosed and dogs chasing them, police dogs chasing them, and also to see where the church catastrophe
At the
was
light, turn left
in
onto 1st Avenue
1963
North.
with the 3 or 4 girls. And actually, when I went to the airport that day in Alabama, I got a book of one of the girls that was unalived in that attack, and her sister wrote a book to her, telling her about her life after the catastrophe that happened in the church. Her sister wrote a book to her. It's a pretty deep, poignant, very thought-provoking book. It's a great book.
In 1,000 feet,
and I'll
turn right
show
onto
that
16th Street North.
probably at the end. I'm reading that book currently in between other books I'm reading. But I'm literally feeling like I'm walking through history in Alabama, because you know what? I most likely am walking down some of the same streets where a lot of the problems occurred. There's no doubt. No doubt in my mind. Let's take a listen to see what part of the walk I'm on now.
A lot of old buildings here. Another old building. Looks like it might have big, ginormous rats in it. Keeps me out walking past it. Looks like it used to be the place back in the day, though. That's where you go in, probably show your ticket. Another old building. Alright, like 3 minutes away. Another creepy old building.
Well, yeah, a lot of times when I'm in cities on an overnight that I've never been in before, I always feel a strong urge to go out for a walk. And I really don't like to walk with anyone, because I like to venture out by myself, so I can stop and look and pay close attention to things that I want to pay attention to that other people might be like, why are you stopping and looking at this? So I like to venture out by myself and just see the sights and find interesting things to
At the light, turn
look
right
at
onto 16th Street North.
and when I'm walking and running, I find the most interesting, intriguing things that I see in these cities. And like I said, this is my first time being in Birmingham, Alabama. And it was a lot to see there. It was a lot to see. Man, just so much history. I at one point wanted to teach Black history to college kids. The truth, I say the truth. I still look forward to doing that someday, but I think I have to have a PhD or a master's degree to do that, at least at a community college. So, I'm staying hydrated. I'm showing my cup I got from the hotel. And it was funny because the lady at the front desk at the hotel, when I asked her, was the Civil Rights Museum open today and in walking distance, she said, yes, it's open today. And she said, and if it's longer than 2 blocks, she said, I'm not walking there. So, and I guess that meant that it was longer than 2 blocks, which it was, and it was well worth the 45-minute walk that I went on. I didn't even realize I was walking 45 minutes because I was so anticipating seeing it, and I was listening to my directions, and then I was like, one of the guys that was in the crew with me,
Good morning.
I told him I'll walk down to the Civil Rights Museum, and he looked it up, and he looked up at me, he goes, that was a 45-minute walk. I said, oh yeah, it probably was a 45-minute walk, but I was so anticipating this scene, and I didn't really care. And the first thing I saw along that street, there were several museums. There was like the hotel that was a motel that was built by the first Black man, called A.G. or A.P. Gaston, and that's where Martin Luther King and his cronies used to meet to talk about civil rights. And this is the part where I think I'm pretty close to the Civil Rights Museum. Let's listen to see where I am on my walk now.
Keep Birmingham beautiful, Lord. This is the church I was walking past. Services start tomorrow at 10 a.m. Okay, back to mine. It says I'm 400 feet away. I'm almost there. This must be it. Very nice building. I think I'm here.
This is the part where I'm getting really excited because I'm about to see the Civil Rights Museum. I'm finally in Birmingham to see the Civil Rights Museum. And here I am. Here comes the hotel that I was talking about.
So this here is a museum.
It looked like a hotel from the 60s. I was so excited. I love that era, that time period, and the buildings and the cars, and the people were very interesting. And here I'm going towards the Civil Rights Museum for the hotel, the first hotel built by a Black man. And I looked in, and there were mock rooms that you could see. It was just cool. These are historic pictures of events that took place at this hotel. Very deep. I loved it. This is different parts of the hotel. I'm walking in the area where there was like a yard that you could walk through and see mock rooms, the table that Martin Luther King met at with his cronies to come up with different civil rights legislations and bills. And this is it. It looks like the Lorraine Hotel kind of that Martin Luther King was unalived at, but this is the A.P. or A.G. Gaston Hotel in Birmingham.
But this is an actual hotel that a Black man and some of his friends own. A.G. Gaston. Very cool. Rooms aren't very big.
Probably hear me say that the rooms aren't very big. They're just rooms. They're just rooms that aren't very big. Stairs. Looks like the 60s. Looks like maybe a hotel now. I don't know. It just very historic hotel. There's the gentleman, A.P. Gaston. Then I walked next door, A.G. Gaston, that was his name. And they had more things about him next door that explained more in detail who he was and what he was. Can't really hear it, but this is a video of a lady talking about A.G. Gaston. I don't know if she knew him personally or if she knew of him, but she's talking about his legacy and just various things about the man, the legend, A.G. Gaston. This is where I'm coming up to, finally, the Civil Rights Museum. I'm walking. They're telling me that I got my ticket, and with the AA membership, it was like $2 less. They're telling me I can't film in there. I can take pictures, but I can't have a flash on my camera. I can't walk through the statues. I can walk around the statues, but not through them. But then I have to watch a film before I go in. Here's a colored water fountain versus the white water fountain. That's very well kept, clean, no rust on it. Here comes a white water fountain coming up. There it is. See what a vast difference it is from the colored water fountain. This is just a sign. And here the guy was talking, and he said that if a black man was heard laughing too loud in the presence of a white woman, that they could be unalived. And you know how they were unalived, with a string and a tree. This is the bus. This is the white section, and then there's a black section prior to the where they had the bus riding conflict. This is a white classroom. This is a black classroom. The chairs don't look as comfortable as a white classroom. Before they had the bus, I can't think of the name of it, but this is a jukebox in a barber shop. This is just black businesses, black homes. This is a TV on a stand in a barber shop, and black men were getting their hair cut. The old-fashioned chairs. There's a pressing comb thing that I used to get my hair done with by my hairdresser back in the day. This is a black home, the living room of the black home. Very simple. You can tell by the wallpaper and the furniture that it was late 50s or early 60s. The bus boycott. That's what I was trying to say, bus boycott. Prior to that. Thank you, Rosa Parks, for the bus boycott and other people that participated in the bus boycott, so that black people didn't have to ride in the back of the bus anymore. That's an old soda machine. My uncle had one in his lawnmower shop in Oklahoma, where you'd put the thing in the bottom of the machine to pop the lid off, old-fashioned cash register. This is just old black businesses, more black homes. A lot of history. This is a museum that Donald Duck is trying to shut down, too. These are things that were offensive to black people back in the day that white people have and had in their yards. I saw these in white people's yards in the 2000s, and there's probably still in. And this is the coward's mask and cloak and dagger. This is a coward. And it's funny that people say, "Oh, I could tell that was the grocery man's shoes," and I can tell it's the judge's shoes, the policeman's shoes. Pictures of Martin Luther King in deep thought. Funeral home. Probably for a lot of black men that were unalived in an unjust way. And again, thank you, Rosa Parks, for refusing to go to the back of the bus that day. And thank you to all the other black women that refused to go to the back of the bus and got arrested too, because it wasn't just Rosa Parks. Ain't gonna ride no more. You mean ain't gonna ride in the back no more? This is a bus, civil rights bus that was Freedom Rider bus that was done wrong. Somebody did some catastrophe to that bus as well, which wasn't very kind, and you can see the remnants of it. Signs on the wall. This is a jail cell, probably similar, very much similar to one that Martin Luther King was in. This is the people. Looks like the march in Washington. My mom was at that march in Washington. She was there in the crowd. They said people walked for days to get to that march. People skated there. People did all kinds of stuff to get to that march. It was like a very popular event. This was the catastrophe that happened to the church with the unaliving of the 4 girls in the church, 16th Street Church, that's right across from the museum. This is a picture of the first black mayor in Alabama, in Birmingham. It reminds me so much of when I worked on Capitol Hill in DC in the 80s. This looks a lot like the offices and the furniture and the pins and that's him with one of his children, grandchildren. I forgot his name. I have to remember his name. But he was the first black mayor of Birmingham. Very proud of that. This is the desk, and you could see inside. You could open the desk and see letters he wrote. That looks like a preacher there. That looks like a typical picture of a preacher. This is more. This is what Alabama police, Birmingham police used in the 60s to terrorize black people as they were minding their own business, I'm sure. Walking down the street, whatever, not doing exactly what they wanted to do. This is pictures of people that sang about justice with black people in the 60s. Marvin Gaye. I'm sure Aretha Franklin's up there somewhere. There's a picture of Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, civil rights are human rights, and that is so true. There's Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, some of my favorite people, Billie Holiday singing on the mic. We Shall Overcome, very popular song back in the day. This is the outside of the museum. I saw like some of the things that people were talking about. The beautiful Coretta Scott King and Martin Luther King. Across from the museum, there was replicas of people like getting hosed down by the Birmingham police and dogs chasing them. I did not see that, but I will. Next time I go there, I'm going to make it my business to look for that. More pictures, more very poignant pictures. This bell, I don't know what it represents, but it's a bell. I didn't read what it represented. Maybe to a church or something. Maybe to the 16th Street Church. Maybe it is, because here's a picture of the young girls that were at the church that day that were unalive, sadly. And I still have to show you the book that I bought regarding one of the sisters that wrote the book to her sister, talking about what her life is like without her sister and how the unaliving of her sister affected their family for the rest of their lives. It's called Dear Sister or something like that, and it's written by something McNair. I don't know who that's a picture of. I can't see it very well in this video. This is the 16th Street Church that is right across the street from the Civil Rights Museum. And this is one of the jerks that unalived the girls, and he was known for being very tacky throughout his life. And this is about the time he got convicted. This happened in 63. He probably didn't get convicted until 2002. It took years and years for him to, and then he ended up being so old he died in prison. Too bad he couldn't have been there longer. This is more maybe about the first black Birmingham mayor. More with the church catastrophe that took place. First black mayor signing paperwork. People uniting in honor of civil rights. More pictures. Very deep, very poignant, very thought-provoking, like I say. Martin Luther King. More pictures of civil rights leaders. Some you may know, some you may not know. I went and saw every aspect of the museum. I even went back to make sure that I saw everything. This is me leaving the museum. There's a picture of a statue of Martin Luther King outside. This is people coming inside the museum. There's a security guard sitting there telling people what they can and they cannot do in the museum. If you haven't got a chance to go to the museum, you got to go. There's a 16th Street Church across the street, and there's a museum in there that I would have loved to go to, but I did not have time to go to it, unfortunately. But I will make it my business to get there next time. So much history in Birmingham, my goodness. It's like you can spend the whole day or 2 days just checking out the historic sites in Birmingham, Alabama. Even when I was walking down the street, I saw buildings that were old, that were probably, like I said, had lots of history in them. It was just like, wow. I could walk forever and look at through history. That's what I felt like I was doing, walking through history. I walked back to the hotel and I found a tropical smoothie place. I walked past the Birmingham Police Department, and it just, I don't know, I read what was on the building, and I'm like, is it really true? Is that really what they believe in, or what they're practicing now? I don't know. I can only speculate. Pretty cool. Pretty interesting. It seemed like the walk back is always shorter than the walk to. And this is a tribute on a building to Willie Mays, on a business to Willie Mays. Was he from Birmingham? I don't know. I have to look it up and see. I really don't know. And I have to look up and see who the first black mayor was of Atlanta too, or Birmingham too, so I can share that with you as well. I'm on my way back to the hotel now. And let me see where I'm on the walk, and I want to get the book that I have, one bit.
I wanted to go, like I said,
to see where research. And I found out that Richard Arrington Jr. was born in 1934. That was the mayor, the first black mayor of Birmingham, Richard Arrington Jr. He served as mayor from 1979 to 1990. 20 years.
Burned the little church.
And he's still living. From what I can tell, he's still alive. And then Willie Mays, he was from Westfield, Alabama. He was born May 6, 1931, and lived until just last year, June 18th, 2024. But he was from Westfield, Alabama. And I do have a picture of the book that I'm reading currently, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But let's see where I am on this walk back to the hotel. And I'm usually on the way back from my venture. I'm usually looking for something to eat.
Wasn't bad, not bad though. But headed back now. So talk to you. I love big red doors. It looks so classy.
Yes, I do love big red doors. I love big doors, period, on homes. But yeah, Arrington was mayor from 79 to 99, 20 years. He was on the city council before that, but he was the first black on the city council in Birmingham too, but the mayor was the bigger thing. And this is me back at my hotel. I was running on the treadmill, and I was trying, it was my intention to get 4 miles in. Then something kept telling me, look at the time, look at the time, look at the time. So I finally looked at the time, and I'm like, oh shoot, I've only got like 30 minutes to get ready to meet my crew downstairs. So luckily something told me to look at the time, and I ran back up to my room, took a shower, met my crew, and I lived happily ever after. So thank God for the thing that was telling me, look at the time, pay attention to the time, because I was about to get another mile in, and I would have not met my crew downstairs, and I would have had to catch an Uber by myself to the airport. So remember, follow your first mind. Do what you know is the right thing to do. Peace. Almost forgot. This is the book that I got in the airport in Alabama. It's called Dear Denise, Letters to the Sister I Never Knew, and it's by Lisa McNair. Her sister was one of the ones that was unalived in the church catastrophe in 1963 in Birmingham, Alabama, the 16th Street Church. Very good book. I recommend it.